All right, that's a wonderful song. People wonder what it means by Beulah land. You know, the word Beulah is found only one time in the Bible. It's found in Isaiah chapter 62. And it speaks about the nation of Israel and their future and the blessings that they've had. Thou shalt also be a crown of glory in the hand of the Lord, and a royal diadem in the hand of thy God. Thou shalt no more be termed forsaken, neither shall thy land any more be termed desolate, but thou shalt be called Hephzibah, and thy land Beulah. For the Lord delighteth in thee, and thy land shall be married. For as a young man marrieth a virgin, so shall thy sons marry thee. And as the bridegroom rejoiceth over the bride, so shall thy God rejoice over thee. And I often wonder what that meant. Why did they have a song about Beulah land? But Beulah means married. And Hephzibah, of course, means my delight is in her. That's in Isaiah chapter 63 and verses 3 through 5. And, you know, I'm living on the mountain, I'm reading the cloud of the sky, I'm drinking from the fountain, never shall run dry. And I think the thought of that is this, like they're coming over the desert, crossing the Jordan River, coming into a land that God has prepared for them. A land of rest, a land of not total peace, but it was the land that God had promised them. And we know the greatest land we're looking forward to is up yonder, in the presence of God. And so whenever I sing this, I always get to praise God in there, really sing out. But it's so good to meet your pastor's mom and dad. And I tell you, they're great people. I just met them a little while ago out in the foyer there, and found out that they used to live where my old stomping grounds were, Kent Lake, South Lyons, and way west of Detroit. But we lived in Rector Township. But it was so good to meet them. I could see why they got such a good son. They had good parents. And praise the Lord for that. You know, there was this man and his wife, and they were getting up in years, and they were going down the freeway, and the husband said, "I'm hungry." Well, they looked, and finally they saw an exit there that had food on it. They pulled up there, and there was a very ritzy restaurant. I mean, it was a very fancy one. And, well, let's go in. So they walked in there, and there was a dimly lit foyer. They entered there, and an entree. And a waiter came out there. I guess he was a waiter, but he said, "What can I do for you?" He said, "Well, we want to eat." He said, "Well, you can't eat in here." He said, "You, sir, you don't have a tie on." And all the men that come in here wear ties. He said, "Well, I don't know what I did with it." He said, "Let me go out in the car. Maybe it's in the car someplace." So he went out in the car, and he looked in the glove compartment. He looked under the seats, in the back seat. Finally, he went to the trunk of the car, and he opened the trunk. And all he could see there was a jumper cable. And he said, "Well, let me see." So he picked up that jumper cable and he wrapped it around his neck. That part of it hanging down here. And he said, "No, I'm going to try." So we came in there and the guy was waiting. He said, "Is this all right?" And, "Oh, I don't know. That doesn't look very good." He said, "Well, it is okay." He says, "I'll let you in, but don't start anything." And this other elder man and his wife, they came into this restaurant, and when they left, they went up the expressway, and you know how far it is between exits. And they were going along quite a ways, and finally the wife said, "Oh, I left my purse there." "Oh, you would do something like that. I just knew you'd foul us all up." You know, okay, so he got to the exit, he turned around and he came back and pulled up to the restaurant. And so she got out of the car going to get her purse, pocketbook. And the man said, "Well, as long as you're in there, you might as well get my hat." So there are dangers of growing old. Growing old isn't for sissies. But there are blessings too. I just can't imagine. Brother, I'll be 82 this Tuesday. 89, excuse me. And let's see, has anybody here beat that? There's got to be somebody here over 89. But they do not. But the Lord still gives grace, still has ministries to do. Thank God for it. And Brother Neil, hey, when you get that age too, you will be completely retired. They call me retired. I'm not even retreaded. But it's been a blessing to serve the Lord, and it's been a blessing for you to serve the Lord here. And I don't know where you've been before, but you have good people here, wonderful people here. And I love those instruments. I think that's great. They didn't have that the last time that I was here, and they play so well. They even got my alto saxophone there. I used to play with. And French horn even, and I don't know, cornets or trumpets or whatever we might be called, and the flowers, they got their flutes, and it really adds so much to the service. I think that is just really great. Well, you're probably kind of sleepy right now after that nice meal. And a lot of people I know from our church, as soon as they get home, they can take a nap. And I don't know when I was last taking a nap. It's not having fallen asleep. Sometimes I sit in the chair and I drift off for a little bit in the afternoon. But I have afternoon ministries that I've been doing now for 21 years, a little over that. And but I think there's one church where there's a man there, he's sleeping away there, and it was sort of bothering the pastor. And the pastor looked at the guy next to him. "Hey," he said, "would you wake up that guy sleeping next to you? Because you're the one that put him to sleep." I'll try not to put you to sleep this afternoon. But my message will not really be long this afternoon. I don't know how long it was this morning. I never, take track. But sometimes I do. And it's sort of like this man that had to get his new dentures put in. And but he didn't want to stop preaching. So even though he had his new dentures put in, he went to church next Sunday morning and he preached, and people say, "How can he preach? He's just having those false teeth." But again, they bothered him, and they did. So he preached for about 15 minutes, and that was all he could do. Well, next Sunday he came there, and he was still determined. So he tried a little harder. He got up to 20 minutes that he was preaching. Then the third week, half an hour. Well, they said, that's the end of it right there. But lo and behold, the next day he came in there and he preached for an hour and a half. And he said, "How did that happen? He was so great." Well, he says, "I made a mistake. I picked up my wife's dentures when I left." Well, anyway, I can tell you 1,000 stories about elderly folk, and sometimes younger folk as well. But I want to talk about the blessing of being a pastor. The blessing. There are trials, there are heartaches, setbacks. Sometimes you wonder how things are going to be. My wife and I was at a church in Ferndale, Michigan, and sin got into the church. And one of the, I don't know if it was a deacon or not, but got in with the deacon's wife, and it was a bad thing. And, well, I had an evangelist there, Have you ever heard of Billy Walker? Ever heard of Billy Walker? He was a young evangelist. He was preaching when he was 18 years of age. And I don't know how old he was at the time, but I wanted to come to our church and have a revival meeting. So he came, and I think about the fifth night of the meeting, this pastor, he says, something's wrong. He said, God isn't doing anything here. God isn't moving. Is there anything that you know of? And I couldn't think of it. After he left, I was so sad because I found out that all the effort that he gave and his heart crying, pleading, seemed to go for naught. But there had been sin in our sin. It's just like Achan. Just one man spoiled the whole thing. And here's a man and a woman. And they brought the judgment of God upon us. And I don't know if they ever got that straightened out or not, but I know that hurt my wife and me because we saw things were just not working out well there. That was only my first, was it full-time? I think it was full-time church. I had a part-time in Redford Township for 3 years, 3.5 years. I had a great time there. Small church. It was a made-over house. And they brought in some seats in there. And I remember my brother, he came to hear me preach one time. And I was preaching real hard in the gospel. And somebody told me afterwards, they said, we're watching my brother. And I came to the invitation. And he's holding on to the back of the pew in front of me. And his knuckles were turning white. He didn't come forward. Never did get saved. There's a story about that too. I wish I had time to share with you. But a lot of different types of experiences in the ministry. It's just it's an experience. It's a life. There are troubles, blessings. Thank God that there are more blessings than there are trials and difficulties. But here is one of the things that makes your pastor glad. It is a blessing to him to see your love and to see your respect for him, your appreciation for him and his wife and family, and for their faithfulness. And that's a good blessing, being the pastor. I know they did a few things then for us. I got a trip to the Holy Land when I was 50 years of age. And there are other blessings too when we retired from the church. And when I retired from the last church that we had in Columbus, Michigan, I think we had 25 people that I was privileged to baptize in the last 2 weeks that were there. And they had a little get together for us for leaving there after just 10 years. I did spend 23 years at Faith Baptist Church in Warren. But the blessings of knowing that people appreciate what you're doing. Sometimes you don't feel worthy of it, but yet God's people can be such a blessing to a pastor. Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Psalm 133:1. And of course, that's true for the entire flock, the Church of God. They have that fellowship one with another. But this is a good day for your pastor. And one I know that he appreciates both him and his wife and family. And another blessing, one of the greatest blessings, is leading lost souls to Christ. And you read in Psalm 126, verse 5 and 6, they that sow in tears shall reap in joy. He that goeth forth and reapeth, bearing precious seed, shall doubtless come again rejoicing, bringing his sheaves with him. Now, they're not all true, heartfelt confessions we don't understand, but when you see genuine confessions of faith, and you see evidence of that, that is the thing that pleases it gives fulfillment to the pastor as much or if not more than any thing else. But seeing spiritual growth in God's people, that is a blessing. To see them grow in the Lord. I know we came to Calvary Baptist Church, and of course it's a bigger church, we realize that. But, there are a lot of retirees from Dow, Dow Chemical and Dow Corning, but of course they're doing a lot there right now. But it just seems like there was such depth in the people there, and I knew that they'd been taught the Word of God, and they knew the Lord, and we had such a bond between us there. I wasn't any pastor there at all. They wanted me to, pastor wanted me to be sort of like a associate pastor, not that even, maybe a visitation pastor. I don't know if you do that, then everybody expects me to visit them. This way, I'll just do it on my own when I get the opportunity. So I've been doing that for 21 years at the church there. But the growth of the people there was such a blessing to me and to my wife. And then also anticipating rewards for faithful service to God. And you know the passage in 2 Timothy, all scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of God may be perfect, truly furnished unto all good works. And then Paul gives Timothy a charge. Charge ye therefore before God and the Lord Jesus Christ. He says, that thou preach the word, and be in season and out of season. And then Paul says himself, I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Henceforth, there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day. Oh, that's a wonderful blessing to think of for the pastor if he is faithful to God. Oh, maybe we make moves along the way and things that we regret. But yet, in the long run, to realize that you've done your best for Jesus. You've tried to be faithful, and you know there's a crown of righteousness waiting for you. There are other crowns too that God promises. And by the way, it says, and not only me does he give that crown of righteousness, but unto all of them also who love his appearing. That's in 2 Corinthians and chapter 4 and verse 6 and 7. But the anticipation of rewards, I think at 1 John 3:2, what could be better than this? Beloved, now are we the sons of God. And it does not yet appear what we shall be, but we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, that's not for the pastor, that's for all of God's people. It doesn't yet appear what we shall be. Look at these bodies that are frail and hurting sometimes, and weak and tired. But one day it's going to be completely different. When we see him, Jesus, we should be like him. We'd like to be him now, like him now. We want to be more like him. But one day we will have that fulfillment when the heavens open and Jesus descends and gives us the shout and the trumpet call and the voice of the archangel, and the dead in Christ shall rise first, and we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with him in the cloud to meet the Lord in the air. And so shall we ever be with the Lord. Wherefore comfort one another with these words. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, 13 through 16. Oh, dear friends, what a day that will be. Our hymn played that a little while ago. When my Jesus I shall see, when I look upon his face, the one who saved me by his grace. When he takes me by the hand and leads me through that promised land, what a day, glorious day. That day will be. By the way, that was a beautiful trio, young girls. And they were the first ones that my wife and I met when we came into the church this morning. And I wondered what talents they had. Wow, that was beautiful, beautiful. And what wonderful words. But just to think of that, we've got a lot better day coming. I said that to many elderly people in the hospital that are hurting. We have a lady, a neighbor in the hospital right now. I don't know if she's going to make it, if she's gone past a certain part of her life, but she was taken to the hospital yesterday. My wife was over there when she fell on the concrete, and finally they got 911. The man called 911. They took her there, and I wasn't home at the time. My son-in-law and I were away. I was treating him. Well, what we do, and this isn't gambling, but what we do, we have a game. Every football season, we see who gets the most wins. And the one who gets the most, he gets treated. The one who loses, he has to do the treating. Well, I did the treating this last time. And we were out for quite a while. We went to the golf course, and we were going to hit some balls there. And the guy came up. In 10 minutes, the rain was going to be here. We got to hit about 20 balls, and that was about it. But finally got home, and my wife shared with me what happened to our neighbor in the afternoon. And she used to go to a Bible study in the Lutheran church some time ago. She had a few questions for me. I've never had really a good opportunity to witness to her straight the gospel. And she's a different kind of a lady. But she's there now in intensive care. And I don't know if I promised God last night, but if she gets out of this, she makes it home. If she has any ability to concentrate or think at all, I've got to be plain about the gospel. Tell her how much God loves her, and he'll forgive her sins. He'll trust in him. I'm praying that God might give that opportunity to be spared her at this time. But God gives a reward. He's got a reward for those who win souls to Christ. He's got a reward for all those who are faithful to him. And I think of 1 Peter 5, 1 through 4, where Peter doesn't call himself Pope, doesn't call himself any great name like that. He says, the elders which are among you I exhort, because I'm also an elder. It's an elder. And he said, the elders which are among you I exhort, that you feed the flock, that you, the last thing he says there, that you eat not lords over God's gift, but you be examples to them. And then he says this, and when the chief shepherd shall appear, you shall receive a crown of glory that fadeth not away. Now this is especially given for pastors who are faithful to the Lord. I can imagine anyone who is serving the Lord and ministering the gospel and ministering to others who are faithful to him will also be partakers of that crown that God has promised. I think of John 12, 26b. When we were having trouble at that church, and we wept sometimes because of the way things worked out there. We were so young at the time, just young in the ministry. And I tried to get some help from my pastor what I should do. And he gave me some suggestions, but he said this. He said, Jesus said, if any man serve me, him will my Father honor. And I was able to share that with a man down in Florida one time. I went down there to try and help another man start a church, just see how they were doing and have a partner open service. And we were playing golf, and he was telling me about the troubles that he was having in his church. they're just, the people are not cooperating. He said, I love them, but he said, they show very little love towards me or reception of the message. So I said to him, Jesus said, if any man serve me, him will my Father honor, and he will. And the man seemed to be so perked up. I shared, just like I was when my pastor shared that with me. And, you know, dear friends, God blesses a church which honors their pastor. I really believe that. And I think of 1 Timothy 5:17. And this is what the Apostle Paul says. Let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honor, especially they who labor in the word and doctrine. Double honor to the shepherd of the sheep. And here's a term that I could have used this morning. I meant to use it. Jesus is called the chief shepherd. And I heard a long time ago that pastor should be called the under shepherd, because he is the chief shepherd. But the under shepherds, bishop too means overseer, which is another word for pastor. And if any man desire the office of a bishop, pastor, he desires to do work. And God will bless, I really believe, the congregation that honors their pastor, like you have honored him today. And I thank God for you folk and your goodness and your love for your pastor. You know, leaving the church is sometimes hard to do. Going in a church where you're not responsible is hard to do. And there are many trials and temptations and testings and heartbreak in the ministry. And what a difference it makes when a congregation lets their pastor know that they love him and love his family and will show and express that love. Beloved, let us not love in tongue or in word, but in deed and in truth, John says to his little children in 1 John chapter 3. So thank you, dear friends. I love the pastor. He feels this in the depths of his heart for what you have done for him today. So be faithful. Keep looking up. Dear friends, as I said before, it may not be long. And with the way things are happening with Russia and with Turkey and with Iran and all of those places that are inferred in Ezekiel, if not named by other names, chapter 37, 36, and 38, and Israel being back on the land and the dangers with which you're fraught today. I just think that a little nation, what other nation is really for it? The United States used to be, I like Harry Truman. I don't know if I was a Democrat or a Republican, or if I was a Democrat or Republican, whatever I was back then. This is a young fellow. But when I heard that he stood for Israel, he gave them that little bit of land down there just next to the Mediterranean Sea. That was great. And then our country has helped Israel. Helped them much. But in recent presidencies, there's questions about whether there have been real help or harm for Israel. And I'm not going to be political today, so I'm not going to go into that too. God says, pray for the peace of Israel. They shall prosper and love me. And so I think of Harry Truman, what he did back then. I I know he swore, and it seems like almost all the presidents have some flaw. Sometimes they're really bad. And but yet he had enough sense and understanding of the scriptures to know that God had a plan for that nation. And so, pray for Israel. They're going through a difficult time now. And pray for their peace. And we think of the troubles of our nation today. We've had more racial problems in the last 8 years than we've had since 1968 when we had the problem down in Detroit. And it's so inexcusable. It's beyond our comprehension of things that are happening in our nation today. And with the corruption in the higher echelons of the political field, as well as the lower. The immorality, the falling away from righteous principles in our land, the deterioration. Dear friends, I can just say, it must not be wrong. I know people have said that before, but it seems like we're getting so close when you're going to hear the trumpet sound and the upward call. And but be faithful and just live as though this is your last few years on earth, your last day, and prepare as though it may be a few years long going. But we be ready to meet the Lord, and that's the important thing, to know that when we see Him, we shall be like Him. Oh my! What a blessed thought! For we shall see Him as He is. God bless you, dear friend. And